Hello, I'm Brandy Frisbee, and I wanted to take a few moments to tell you a little bit about a recent publication. First, I want to acknowledge my co-authors, Angela Hosek and Annie Beck. We started working on this project a few years ago, and we finally have it published. And this is a project about how classroom relationships can be a source of academic resilience and hope for our students. The problem here that we're trying to solve is that resilience is currently an issue for our students. Resilience has become a hot topic, a buzzword, if you will, and it is making headlines. So I've included a few of the headlines here. You can see that there are general concerns in higher education and parenting and counseling outlets that are concerned about how our students are doing. So much concerning that there are federal grants up to $5 million who are trying to solve this resilience issue for students and how we can help our students to be more resilient. What is our role in that process? And so just to kind of reiterate how that's a problem, Rivera said that our students are dealing with unprecedented levels of stress. Now, this is a quote from 2015, and surely our students are dealing with even more stress under the current circumstances. So I would anticipate resilience as an ongoing issue. Student resilience has been noticed as on the decline for several years now. That's both anecdotal, but also supported in research. And this lack of resilience has some serious consequences. Students see grading processes and feedback differently. Their relationships can suffer. They have different perspectives on failure and whether failure is okay and how to overcome those failures. There are consequences for students' mental health and also for retention and graduation rates, which of course are really important for institutions, but also for the students themselves as they try to progress past a undergraduate degree or a graduate degree. So the study that we focused on wanted to look for ways we could build resilience for our students. And we ground this in the theoretical framework of self-determination theory. Self-determination theory focuses on three sets of needs: competence, autonomy, and relatedness. And the basic crux of the theory is that all of these needs need to be met for students to feel motivated. When these needs are not met, then students feel like they should work to be competent or work to regain autonomy and control or work to build relationships. And when they're spending time on competence, autonomy, and relatedness, they're not always able or motivated to spend time on academics or being resilient in the face of adversity. And so ideally, we want our students to feel motivated so that they can persist in their degree programs. We chose to focus specifically on the relational side. We see the classroom as a context where interpersonal relationships matter. Those relationships can be with instructors, with students, with advisors, but we wanted to look at the different ways in which students can meet those relational needs. We also thought that this was justified because according to Dishi and Ryan, relationships provide the most powerful place where we can actually provide interventions for our students, for any people in general, but in this particular case for our students. So to look at the relationship with the instructor, we focused on rapport, which is a mutual, trusting, pro-social bond or connection that instructors and students can feel with one another. Research already tells us that there are lots of positive benefits to having rapport with an instructor, and we hypothesize in this study that rapport will also have positive benefits for the resilience that students build. Second, we looked at peer connectedness, and this is the relationships that students build with one another in the classroom. So this can be supportive, confirming, understanding relationships, helpful relationships, as students kind of navigate the educational process together. We did want to focus more on the quality of the relationship. So the theory suggests that it's not just the presence of the relationships that matters, but how high quality they are. And so we focused on quality with the instructor in terms of communication satisfaction, to keep the focus on the communication that happens here, because that's where we see the ideal intervention. So in general, we are hypothesizing that instructor rapport, communication satisfaction, and student connectedness are going to be positively related to resilience. Closely related to resilience is hope. Both of these constructs are included under this general umbrella of psychological capital. And ideally, we'd like to increase both of those in our students because they have both been associated with positive learning outcomes, retention, and graduation. So this is what we found. We can see the general correlation matrix here and the regression model statistics here. But to sum it up very easily, the only positive predictor of resilience or of hope in all three models was classroom connectedness. And so this has really important implications for instructors and for students and ways that we can help our students to be resilient. In general, we think that students might provide emotional and social support to one another. They may learn from their peers. They develop study groups. They may socialize outside of the classroom. And they may just feel that their peers understand them more when they're struggling with some adverse issue or some challenge academically. And these peers might be their go-to source. Students might not always feel comfortable going to their instructor with an issue or with a problem, or may not have the approachability factor that that instructor would need for the students to go to them for help. And so classroom connectedness is critical. So while resilience presents a problem for us as instructors to solve, this also presents an opportunity for us to give our students a resource for developing resilience. And that resource is just simply connecting with peers in the classroom. So as instructors, it's important for us to encourage students to get to know one another, icebreakers, group work, informal chats, abilities to talk about non-class related things during class, so that they can leverage one another and help one another when those problems of resilience arise. These connectedness issues can also help students to increase their feelings of belongingness. And we know that the retention research and Tinto talk a lot about how student belongingness is a critical predictor of student success. Thanks for listening to our research today, and I hope that you can find a way to build some connectedness between your students so that we can start to address the declining resilience that's happening internationally. Thank you.